you say when there are no words? Feel a song that's never been heard. How do you know when you hear the call? What do you do when you've done it all? Cannonball, 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 cannonball. It's not what you do, it's how you do. Be anything you want to be. It's not what you got, it's how you use it. You be you and I'll be me, it's just a matter of style. You can't fake it, mile after mile, feeling free. If you got the soul, you can make it, move 'em out.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, morning, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. This is the Apex Online Racing Project Cars 2 GT3 Elite Season 9, round number 6, here at Long Beach in America. My name is King-Kodiak, and I'll be one of your commentators throughout this evening's race. Joining me in the commentary box once again is the Lord of the Cameras, the God himself. It is Fizzy.
Way! Hello KK and hello everyone else watching. It's a pleasure to be back in the commentary box once again for what should be an exciting race. I said at the start of the season that this was one of the ones I was looking forward to the most because we are heading to the street track of Long Beach for the first time ever on Project Cars 2.
Yes, so there's been a bit of discussion about the formation lap as well. There's been a little bit concerned that the narrow streets of Long Beach may not suit the 2x2 formation, so we are, I believe, going to try a single line formation lap, so that is one to bear in mind for the regulars to the series. But before we get into that, we are a little bit delayed, for which we do apologise for. Steam had a bit of an explosion literally minutes before the lobbies were formed, so we are just waiting for everybody to get back on board. So whilst we await our drivers, let us go through our championship orders now that we've gone over the halfway stage. And unfortunately we have had another Steam explosion. That's why you can hear my game sounds going utterly crazy in the background. Let's have a look at the positions from bottom to top then. As you can see, those on 0 points, we have Perry Gronstra, who joined the season a little bit late. He hasn't had a great deal of luck since joining us. Nutella is a reserve driver, so he's yet to get any points on the board. Domino has changed cars, so he's on 0. Hardway has not had a lot of luck in that Audi of his. So then moving up to the next image, we have got Iceberg, also yet to get off the mark. Doc on 5 points. He and his teammate Domino switched cars. They were in the M6 and they switched over to the Mercedes. We've got Conor McCoy and Poppleton in their respective Audis. Noah in the Z4. Mickersby in the one of 2 Porsche 911s. MTZ, MZ for a round or 2. Mar Buenzi, who's had such bad luck in that Lambo. He was doing really well in the last couple of rounds, but bad luck and disconnections have hurt his progress somewhat. Oblator in the next position up with Rigor in one of the Nissans. Let's swap that image to the next one there. In line, there we are, Nick Meadow in the second Nissan in 20th. Then we have Steve, who did very, very well, but hasn't been able to maintain that particular momentum that he started very early on, getting those 30 points. Yorkie in the M6 in 18th position. Tex Wheeler in the lead 911 in 17th. Rick in the top Lambo in 16th position with Relo. And Adalexis in their respective Ferraris 14th and 15th. 2 Desert Pack in the Audi 13th. Typek of the TX3 guys in 12th, with Andrex, the stalwart of the M6, in 11th place. Let's have a look then at our top 10 as they currently stand. There they are, Mr. Van Ommen, and on that 10th spot in the Ferrari, with Murphy, who's sadly not able to join us for this evening's race, in the Sol Ginetta, who has rather hit the ground running, it must be said, in that little G55. Vernux, our Season 8 champion, who's also sadly not able to join us tonight. He currently sits in 8th position. Zal in the Ferrari in 7th position, with Nesterovic in the Audi 6th. Fab Iceman 5. Leon, who's had a bit of a mixture as well. He was really running very, very well in, I believe it was in Austria, particularly. And he currently lies in 4th. Tisney in the Audi in 3rd. But our top 2, Popsu and Jardier, are rounding out the top rounding out the top 2 positions, Popsy the only man to get a win away from the ever-dominant Jardier.
Indeed, and of course that was last week in a race that was shortened a little bit, unfortunately, because of some lobby issues with Steam, and it does look like we are having a bit of issues still again. As far as I can see, the lobby's not back up yet, so Steam having more problems.
Sadly so.
But, at least let's hope that we can get a race going and that it will be a full race around Long Beach, because it should be a really, really exciting race, I think, for these cars. But yeah, Jardier, of course, leading the championship very dominantly at the moment. As you said, Popsy doesn't want to take a win from him, but he only got half points from it because of that shortened race. So
indeed,
that's also why you see Jardier having half the point there, 180.5, which is a bit unusual. But of course, when the points get halved, then
it's inevitable.
An open number, yeah.
So let's have a look at our teams then. Not all of our drivers, it's not essential that they join the team. Some of them do run as privateers, but this is how they currently stand. Monster AMG Gaming with Doc and Domino currently at the bottom of the field, with Doc's sole 5 points added in there. Visceral Sim Racing, Noah and Iceberg, they're the Z4 pairing. In 13th, the Flying Fins in the Porsches, that's Tex Weezer and Mixby. In 12th position, Glorious Nippon Steel, that's 2 days back at MTZ. In 11th position, switch to the other one, there we are, with Regret Lambo, still makes me smile whenever I see that, with Oblator and Rick. In 10th position, Audi German Factory Team. I've got 2 days back in MTZ actually in 2 different teams, but I think that's a slight bit of error on the overlay there. Apologies for that. BMW UK, that's Andrix as sole occupant of that particular team. In 8th position, we have Prancing Horse Racing, Adalexis and Relo 7105 in 7th position. And then we have got TNR, or Top Notch Racing, Vinox and Yorkie in 6th. Nonchalant Dominance, Fab Iceman and Steve in 5th place, with Virtual Drivers by TX3, Popsu and Typek in 4th. Scandinavians, Leon, Sigmund and Zal in 3rd. GT Aces, Tisney and Nesterovic in 2nd. And there we have Trollovision Community Racing, Jardier and Van Ommen rounding out the teams. Just joining us.
Indeed.
Just joining us now.
And surprisingly, Jardier's team's also doing a very good job after all the points that he has racked up, with Van Ommen having a bit of a mixed season, but I noticed that he has snuck into the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship as well, so picking it up a little bit. And just like in both championships, really, it's very close for second. The place behind Jardier or Jardier's team is very, very, very close. So it's still half a season to go. Jardier looks kind of untouchable, but things can still change.
But we never know. It could be down to the tracks that they've used. But Jardier is, well, we've seen the evidence of how good a driver he actually is. So it's
crazy.
I actually have, for the first time in my relatively short commentary career, I actually have the great pleasure of commentating 2 different leagues with Jardier in it. Of course, this one and the Virtual GP in the Czech Republic also has Jardier within it, and that was great fun to commentate on him in the ZDTMGs. So I get a double dose of Jardier.
Well, is that a bad thing or a good thing?
Oh, it's great fun for me. I will commentate on anything and everything, especially with the quality of racing that we've had thus far. We do apologise again for the continued delay. We hope to get this up and running as quickly as we can. We don't really have an estimate on how long this will take. We are getting our drivers back into the session, so we hope to get this qualifying session underway as quickly as we can for you.
Indeed. Let's see. I think the new lobby host should be giving us our roles now. He is the director and you see a broadcaster as per usual.
I hope so. Otherwise we both could essentially be in control of cameras.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it basically looks like we've changed lobby host, so
yes,
trying to, in an effort to try and sort things out a little bit. But it does seem to be sort of a Steam problem at the moment. So.
And in chat, someone's surprised you didn't pull a sickie for the Liverpool game there, Fizzy.
Well, I kind of was considering it, but then I noticed it was Long Beach. So, but it seems Liverpool game seems to be going well, so it's not too bad.
Do you have it on?
I have it on my second screen.
There we go.
Little corner of the screen. I'm not missing it. Don't worry.
Your dedication never wavers. So yeah, we've got 29 drivers currently with us. We are just waiting for either the last few to join us or the final go from our lobby host, and we will get this underway as quickly as we can.
If you got the soul, you can make it. Move 'em out, let 'em roll, from sea to shining sea. Ball, cannonball. Hey, now cannonball, 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 cannonball.
Typical. I turned the song up to carry on playing just to the point that it begins to end, but never mind. I do believe we are loading in. We are. Fabulous. 30 drivers in the end is our complete count, or at least that's where we start. Of course, where we will end, we will see. And there it is. 2.39 miles, or that's near about 4 kilometers, I think. Here's a rough conversion. 11 turns. And what an amazing race it's going to be. As we load in, we will see what is what then. Come on, adrenaline's going, adrenaline's going. Let us in. Let us in.
We want Long Beach.
We definitely want Long Beach. It's
hey, here we go.
15 minutes of qualifying then. That's glorious GT3 sounds. That's one of the Porsches that is first away. Couldn't quite see who was following him. Might be Andrix in his red and white M10. Oh no, it's one of the Audis. And there goes the green Z4. And there goes Nesterovic in his black Audi, one of the red Ferraris. And Nesterovic's teammate is also coming out. Quite a big stream of cars, as you can imagine, coming out on track.
Oh, I mean, we haven't really mentioned that it's quite late in the afternoon. You can probably see it. There's not much light around. The headlights on the cars are making up most of the lights around the track at the moment, so it makes it even more spectacular, in my opinion.
But also, it contributes to the exactly how they manage the tyres. Of course, at this point, look like I thought Nesterovic's got a little bit tail happy there, but I think he was just beginning to weave to get some heat into his tyres. So. Seeing Nesterovic, he's just gone through turn 6 and the near non-existent turn 7, which very quickly follows. Then right-hander into 8. Now this section of the track is quite wide. As you probably saw when they came away from their standing position, it's exceedingly narrow when they are going through turns 1 through to 4. So that's where the concern for the 2x2 line comes from. For when we complete... Well, we've already lost 2 drivers, unfortunately. We've just lost a third. Let's hope we don't continue to see drivers dropping out. Otherwise, we could potentially be facing, hopefully not another lobby reform, but we will see. We will see. Jardier, our current championship leader, he's you can see from that shot just how narrow the track actually is. He's actually coming to, that is turn 6. He's coming to. There is Andrex in his distinctive M6 in the background.
Seems to be quite a queue forming there at the end of the lap to start the first flying ones.
Yeah, that is quite a queue. It's caught quite a few people out, I think. Yorkie amazingly still in the pits. Is he the only one in there? He is. Yorkie's confident. He's the only one that is still in the pit lane. So unless he's just letting everybody do their first laps and then come out to one of the trackers a little bit more quiet. Pops, who has come back in along with Colonel McCoy as well. Oh, Scarazao got very, very early on the gas and very nearly smacked sideways into the wall, exiting turn 3. That is exactly what the drivers are going to have to be very, very careful of. They're going to want to push, of course, to get through that roundabout section, turns 2 and 3. But if they push too hard too early, they will bounce off the wall, and blocking the track there is going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, obviously we're not using street tracks in this league, but it'll be interesting, as you said, because we obviously have seen quite a few incidents this season, or people making mistakes going off track. There's not much room for error with these walls, and there could definitely be a chance of if one incident happens, a lot of other drivers will get caught up. But that's just the nature of the track, and we'll have to wait and see. At least so far in qualifying, I haven't seen any cars stuck in the walls. But Zali's being caught by one of the BMW Z4s, though. It does look like that they will at least be able to get to the end of this first lap without... there's the car in the wall in the background. That is Zal's teammate, I believe. I think that is Leon? No? Yes, it is. Oh.
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, no, actually, no. He's in a different place of the track, though, isn't he?
No, that wasn't... That wasn't Jardier, surely.
That
Where
would
is Jardier?
surprise me.
He hasn't set a lap. I think it was. I think Jardier actually overcooked it on the exit of 10-11.
I can't even find Jardier on my... oh, there he is, yeah.
Yeah, it was. There he is there. So
Wow.
and it also took him a while to recover. He may have been just waiting for another spot. Because he's just crossed the line. Or did he cross the... oh, no, he was on a... no, it wasn't him. He's just stuck it on pole.
I would be surprised if Jardier had that mistake there and still took provisional pole. That would be a bit...
Yeah, he's good, but I don't think he's quite that good.
Yeah, not yet anyway. He's getting there.
1:17.4 then is the pole time by Jardier, and there is his teammate, Mr. Van Orman, pulling out of the way. So, and there's that Alexis. Great effort from him to get within a tenth of the pole time with that 1:17.459. Oh, there's Jardier just tapping the wall there. That's something to help him. I think that's Hardway ahead of him in the Hot Wheels branded Audi. Now it comes through turn 8. No real... oh, no, he's not dodged that one right at all. Bounced off the wall. It's going to cost him a little bit, and that straight's quite long, so you carry that mistake a very, very long way. Now heavy braking zone into... oh, and again, you saw the tail switch on the Audi ahead. Now through 9, flick it left for 10, and now it's a very long left-hander for 10, almost double apex, and then the very, very tight hairpin for 11, and Jardier nearly bounces off the back of the Audi, and I want to assume Jardier is not going to improve with that one. He did. He took 3/10 of his time despite bouncing off the wall, so an incredible run once again by the championship leader.
Yeah, indeed. Really good lap by him. Alexis as well has put a good lap in. It's basically matched Jardier's previous time. Oh, as a switch of Popsy coming across the line, and he goes second, 2 tenths off of Jardier. So again, the man who managed to beat Jardier last time out in that shortened race, he is very close once again here at Long Beach. Oh, and he's catching up one of the Porsches though on this next lap. That's definitely going to lose him a little bit, I think. Obviously not quite the easiest place for that Porsche to get out of the way, and yeah, Popsy smacking the wall a bit as well. The sparks flying, and another tail wiggle, bit of the same for the Lamborghini behind him as well. So yeah, it does seem like the cars do like to get a little bit loose right now.
It does look like it, yeah. It looks great from our perspective, but I'm not convinced it's the quickest way of doing it. I think that might be Mark Boensi that is behind Popsy. Where is he? He's 6th.
Yeah, he is.
He is.
Very impressive for him.
Wow. Again, he's within a second of the top spot, 1:17.977. So once again, a fair effort by him, and fair effort to Fab Iceman as well. He's got it in 4th. Desert Pack. Wow, we are seeing a bit of a shuffling in the guard. He's in 5th at the moment, and that's Sterowich in the Audi as well. He's in 6th position. Oh, that's Van Orman that's stuck that on 4th. Oh, now look at this. You've got quite a few names. Getting within a very... that was a strange lag moment there. I know the Lamborghini's strong, but that's really testing it. And there's Nesterowicz. He's in 4th, so he jumped up the field a little bit. He's had an argument with something by the look of the shape of his Audi. He's catching to one of the Porsches there. We saw one of the blue Mercedes. That's Doc and Domino. That's the colour scheme they've gone for on their cars. 4th. I've forgotten who GTA is again. I forget this every single week.
Tidgney has just moved to 4th once again.
Great effort again. Oh, look at that, 0.004 of a second separating Tidgney and Alexis, who we're currently looking at, and then back only another 13 thousandths to Nesterowicz.
Yeah,
5 cars in the same tent. Wow,
crazy stuff. Yeah, and Alexis, I think we're going to go on board with Alexis for his lap on his bonnet because he was going quite slow out of the final corners. I think he's just lining up a flyer here. Although the front of his car looks a little bit weird.
Yeah.
He might have touched the wall a bit on this outlap.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not going to affect him too much.
That's how narrow it is. I mean, it looks narrow from the outside. It looks even worse from a driver's perspective. Coming into turns 2 and 3, now through 4. And it's fairly simple then right-hander, but it's very easy just to take too much of that apex and bounce off the wall. And there was just a slight tap there. Nothing too bad for Alexis. He's even wiggling his car. So whether he's... that's too deep. Yeah, that's too deep into 6th, yep.
It's going to end this lap on that occasion. And Jardier and Popsu, the top 2 both in the pits. Actually, Jardier has improved his time to 16.8.
Oh.
So that is
wow.
Quite... Yeah, that's definitely put a scare down to everyone else. As if they didn't know already that Jardier was quick, that's definitely given them something to aim for here.
But raw speed really is not the biggest consideration here because it's a street circuit and those walls will not forgive you. You push a little bit too hard on them, you can get away with like a very tiny graze. But if you just push a little bit too hard, and you will put a lot of damage on your car. And once you do that, your car then becomes even harder to manage, and then you're more likely to bounce off the walls yet again. Here's Fab Iceman now in 7th, 17.5. Look at that, 1st to 9th, 7/10, and then there's a bit of a gap, 9th to 10th. Wow, it's been a while since we've had a grid that close, I think. But then the lap is relatively short.
Just gap between 2nd and 9th is just insane. And Steve now moving up to 10th as well is quite close to that. So it looks like, you know, if you look aside from Jardier, it's going to be a really, really close race.
It's also going to be interesting when Jardier hits traffic, though. That's what I'm also looking for. Because there's going to be certain spots where the guy being lap's got no choice. He can't pull over because the track's too narrow. So that's going to also be an interesting one for our championship leader to bear in mind. Fab Iceman coming across the line in 2nd. Another driver. The 16s, 959, 63 thousandths off. Oh, if that didn't wake Jardier up. He is on track, so we'll see if he's able to respond. Popsy, I think, giving himself some space. He's got someone right with him as well. I couldn't quite see through the headlights. So Popsy remaining in 3rd. We've got just under 5 minutes to go, so still enough time for quite a few laps. Even Iceman, if he comes out, he could get another lap in if he so felt like, oh dear, that's someone's gone on. That's gone into the relief road there. But I can't confirm that I've put a few tyre marks into that particular bit myself. Popsy, I think he went a little bit deep into 3 there. That didn't look particularly tight, but that again, it could be just his choice of line. Now coming through 5 onto a fairly short straight. Wander over to the right hand side, then get as decent line through 6 as you possibly can. Oh, and again, you could actually hear the bit of wheel spin that kicked in there. Now, right-hander for 8 is very, very crucial to get this right because it's a very long straight here. The only one that's longer than this is the start-finish, inverted commas, straight. It's of course curved, but it's all flat. So now, very important braking zone again for 9s. Very easy just to... And whilst the curbs are flat, you can they kind of tempt you to push them a little bit too hard, and you will end up in the wall. Now, a lovely line through that hairpin. That can cost quite a bit of time if you get that wrong. Sprint down to the line, and for Popsu, he does not improve.
Wow. Looks like a pretty solid lap to me, but yeah.
He's still going there.
His lap was already solid. He's flashing his lights. Oh, his car coming out of the pits. It's going to compromise his line actually into turn 1 there because he wants to use as much of that track on the exit as possible. I think, was that Buensi getting up as well? But Mercedes really has to... sort itself out, I think, in terms of how it exits the pit lane. I think this compromised 2 drivers' laps, but
yeah, I think
down a street circuit it can be difficult.
It's either Doc or Domino. They're the only pair running the AMG Mercedes. So, was that someone? Was that someone lagging in the background there? I thought this was someone going a bit sideways as Oblator heads back to the pits. It may have been his Lamborghini. Yorkie, we haven't seen him for a while. He's currently 18th. What is he on? He is on a 1:18.2. That's only 1.3 down from the leader, to be fair. Yeah,
it's very close times, even down around where Yorkie is. To be honest, all the way through the field is, you know, if you improve just by a few tenths of a second, there's going to be quite a few positions, but I don't think Yorkie's going to improve on this lap after that massive slide.
Let's have a look. And indeed, he did not. He remains in 18th position. Iceman. He is in 2nd then with that 169 that we saw him do. There's one of the yellow throws in the background. Just the way that they slide out, of course, they're using every single piece of track they possibly can, but of course, the harder you push, the more you risk bouncing off the wall. There's only so much these GT3s can stand of that. They're pretty sturdy ships, that is certainly true, but they will damage. Oh, what a shame. It looked pretty good, actually. I'm surprised that he didn't finish that. Jardier, surely he can't have much more in the tank. Surely not.
Let's see.
Doesn't improve. Not yet, at least. Still 116 at 895. Oh, Nesterowicz. Nice, 117.1. So within 3/10 for him. A big stream of cars. His teammate directly ahead of him. And Steve is in the pits. I think his day is done. They're not going to have time to do an outlap and then get on the case. Out of Alexis, he is in at 5th position, just half a second down, but he's got this big stream of cars, and this is not what he wants at all. This is going to really hold him up at really crucial moments. As we saw one of the Audis bouncing off the wall, and that, I suspect, is Mark Buensi getting out of the way. I think that he's the only one running that coloured Lamborghini. So now coming through turn 9. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what I mean. You push that little bit too hard. If you bounce square off the wall, you know, door panel against wall, you'll get away with it a bit. But that was, of course, the front corner bouncing off. Whoa! There's Popsy getting very, very. Yeah, it was.
Riding the flowers.
Yeah, okay. That's doing a bit of high-speed gardening. Popsy's actually jumped into second, less than a tenth between Fab Iceman and Jardier, and he split the pair of them again. So three cars within a tenth. Conan McCoy precisely 1 second behind the leader. They're in 13th position. Oh, I can't wait.
And it's a big rush for Iceman to get across the line now. 15 seconds. He should just be able to start his final attempt for this session. Iceman
should just about. Yeah.
Only needs like just over half a tenth of an improvement, and he will be on pole position there.
Well,
let's see where Jardier is as well. He's midway through the lap. Popsy obviously just started one, so he does look to be between those 3, 4 pole position there, because P4 and 5 are both in the pit lane.
Indeed. So all eyes on Jardier at the moment, coming through turn 8. He's got one of the Nissans ahead of him. Oh, that's second position that's come across the line. That was Popsy. So his day is done. And he obviously didn't improve, because we can still see first and third on the timing board on the left-hand side. The Nissan is not obliged to get out of the way if he's on a time lap as well, which he would seem to be. And Jardier could benefit from a bit of a tow. That's going to be interesting to see. He's going to be he's going to be pushing the Nissan all over the line. Does he improve? 1:16.895. I don't know. It's the honest answer, because of course the time disappears from the left-hand side.
I think he has improved, because Iceman is now over a tenth off.
Oh yes.
Position, so he must have improved by like half a tenth.
Yeah.
Iceman though, coming out of the final corner now, also a bit of a tail wiggle for him, but seemed pretty good.
The line he comes.
Will he be able to dispose Jardier?
His pole! Oh, Fab Iceman! Didn't need any slipstream from anybody, and boom! He sticks that on the top. Fair effort, well done.
Incredible lap there for Iceman. Obviously we can't exactly see what lap time he did, but we do know that he went faster than Jardier.
Wow!
So we'll get confirmation soon exactly how much faster he went, but yeah, wow. Right, pretty much exactly the final. Oh wow!
5,000! Very nice. Fab Iceman then getting, I think, is his first pole of the season. Jardier 2, Popsy 3, Nesterowicz 4, Tisney 5, out of Lexus 6, Van Orman 7, 2 Desert Pack. Fair effort for him in the Audi there in 8th. Mar Buensi in the lead, Lambo in 9. And Doc, well, we haven't seen a great deal of Doc. He's in 10th. Great effort there in the Merc.
Yeah, very good job there from Doc. Obviously, hasn't had a great season so far. Decided to change car as well last week. So yeah, that's a good effort for the Mercedes driver. And I think Leon, as far as I could see, was the only guy on the timing glitch, and he's actually qualified in 6th. So everyone below him on the result that we did see.
Well spotted.
Moved down. Yeah. So Leon also in the mix there.
So 28 drivers in all there. Here's who we have with us. So of course that puts exactly as you say, so from Adalexis downwards, gained a position from what we've just read out. So for those unfamiliar with the setup, this 2-minute phase now is for drivers to change into their race setups. Any last-minute changes they want to make, now is the time to do it. We will then be commencing a manual rolling start. So the 5 lights will go out, and everybody will stay still for 5 seconds. And then the leader, which in this case is Fab Iceman, which I'm sure he's very, very happy about, will then lead the parade of cars around the field until we get to the formation point, which I believe is on that back straight. Normally we would form the 2x2 line exactly as you see it. The leader then will proceed to bring them around to the start finish straight into the what's called the acceleration zone, and then the leader can floor it to signify the beginning of the race. However, due to how narrow that last section of the track is and concerns with running 2x2 that slowly through it, it's been decided that they will run a single file for formation up to the acceleration zone and then start the race in that manner.
Indeed. And yeah, we're having a 46 lap race. Obviously normally a 1 hour timed race, but for whatever reason we have decided to go with a 46 lap race. You know, I think it was to avoid some kind of...
I think there was issues with the time. Oh, Fab Iceman's a little bit too trigger happy there. He was off for the lights, but yeah, I think he's gotten very excited to the fact that he's on pole ahead of Jardier and Popsu, which is great in one respect, but that's a lot of pressure that he's got to put. He's going to have to try and keep those two roaring Ferraris behind him. And as we can see, the track goes very wide, so he can't rely just on the narrow parts of the circuit. Although I suspect there's going to be a bit of tactical play going on with possibly 90% pushing in the narrow bit and then run like hell when the track widens out, I suspect. So now coming through the roundabout section 2 and 3, down to 4, and that's where I reckon we're going to see the most trouble. Just people pushing a little bit too hard. We saw Popsu trying to mow the lawn as well. There is Doc. He's listed in 10th. We know that to be incorrect because it's Leon in his yellow Ferrari that is in 6th position on track. But in game, of course, he's listed as last. Anyone that joins the qualifying session late gets stuck in the timing bug. Final score to the bottom of the list. We will see Leon listed as last. There he is. But in actual fact, he is in 6th place. There is Yorkie. He's 20th in the end, in the M6. There goes the two Porsche and the green Z4. There is Domino in the white. Why he's gone for a white one and his teammates in a blue one, and not entirely sure, but that's the way they prefer to do it. You can certainly spot Domino
falling out.
There's Alexis actually in 7th position, because that is Leon directly ahead of him. Now obviously getting the last bit of tyre heat going on, and they are now coming through, getting towards the end of the lap now. Yeah, so so
late race, I assume it's going to be quite cold temperatures, and again I assume that means they're all on the soft tires, but so we are still to see a race this season where the drivers have needed to do pit stop, so I'm assuming it's a straight run to the finish. 46 laps ahead of us.
Jardier is getting himself in a prime position to attack. Iceman has tried to block that off. Jardier is determined to have some clean air, and here we go then. We are racing here at Long Beach. Iceman, of course, having the luxury of that little bit of a head start. So they now come streaming down towards turn 1. We're seeing a few people get into a potential 2-wide position. There's that Alexis. It looked like... Oh, that's the camera getting very, very lost. Oh, I'm sorry about the frame rate for me. That got very, very slow. Oh, dear, that's Mark Puenzi in trouble, I think. He looked like he was a bit out of the loop. That's... oh, goodness me. They're getting very, very slow coming into that turns 2 and 3. It looks like everybody's got through it okay. No major time gaps forming I can see on the timing charts. So everybody through so far so good.
Yeah, it's actually a very clean start. Obviously, maybe the single file formation does help at a track like this, and obviously everyone knows that it's you know, it's going to be very punching if they do make an early mistake. There's no need to take a risk at this stage of the race, and taking it a bit more carefully than usual. But Fab Iceman, the perfect start from pole for him, and hasn't been pressured yet from the dominant so far championship leader of Jardier, but he's getting close in that braking zone for the very, very tight hairpin to end the lap. And the first lap is done with Iceman holding on to the lead.
It's going to tell a 7/10 gap between himself and Jardier. Popsu's actually fallen nearly a second already behind Jardier. There is Doc. He's gained another position in the Mercedes. He's actually had a pretty good start. There you see Van Ommen behind him. He's up to, the game saying 8th. He's actually 7th unless Leon has fallen through the field. I don't think he has. I'm pretty sure he's still up. No, there he is. That will be Nesterowitz that's already ahead of him, I think. It's either Nesterowitz or Tisney. I'm not. So, is that Tisney? No, Tisney behind him. So, yeah. That's 5th then. Great start then for Leon. And look at that. You can pretty much see the top 10 in that one camera shot. There's a bit of a gap forming between Leon and Leon and Tisney. There you see Adalexis already behind him. There is still our race leader, Iceman. There's Jardier piling the pressure on, but of course that's going to start slowing Jardier down. That's going to bring Popsu into it. Popsu's had a pretty terrible run, but Popsu's opened up about a second nearest, damn it, between himself and Nesterowitz, and of course Nesterowitz has got Leon for company.
Yeah, has indeed. I'm just trying to look through the field at the moment where there are close gaps, but I mean everyone is close.
Yeah, everyone is, yeah.
Now, I don't think we're actually going to see as much side-by-side action as we normally do around here, just because of the nature of the track. Obviously, it's a really hard circuit to pass on. The straights aren't too long apart from this main one. That's the only straight we have a really good chance, actually, and obviously it widens massively as well coming into turn 1 because of that pit's exit coming down there as well. But yeah, Jardier can't get close enough at the moment, so Iceman doing a very good job. Hasn't bowed under for the pressure of being on his first ever AOR pole position so far.
Look at that, that's Doc on 2 Desert Pack, I think. So yeah, Doc is really getting the most out of the Mercedes. He's having a good time. He's really broken away from Van Ommen then. So Van Ommen in 10th position. 2 Desert Pack's got a lot of defenders to do. That's a fair start from him as well in the Audi. You see Adalexis there keeping the pressure on the Nesterowitz as well. That is for 5th position. So a lot of battling still going on, but it's not these, as you say, Fizzy, this passing is going to be a bit of a premium. I'm stunned that Popsu is actually falling off the back of Jardier, considering Nesterowitz isn't close to him. So at the moment, Popsu's not got the pace on Jardier, but also to be fair, Jardier is not on top of Fab Iceman. So Fab Iceman's having a stellar run so far.
Definitely. And I think it's one of those tracks where you kind of have to, you need to be really patient, to be honest. It's hard to make something happen for yourself. I am seeing a side-by-side back there. Is that Van Ommen and Mark Buenzi? It is indeed battling at the back of the top 10 positions. And Van Ommen is ahead of Buenzi coming into turn 1.
It's not a big braking zone there, so they can't rely on well, you could try and throw one on the inside. You have to hope that your opponent spotted you, or that your opponent is in trouble and you're that much quicker. But it's not really going to be a very common overtaking spot there. Oh, for me that camera got really, really blurry. Now 4/10 of a second separates Jardier and Iceman, so he's closed that in. And Popsu is, you can see him in the background. So he could just be taking his time, maybe waiting for these two to come to grief. But that's a very dangerous gamble. So you can see Jardier making himself very, very big and obvious in Fab Iceman's mirrors. So it's a dangerous gamble to let Jardier have his own race and hope that he's going to come to grief. We did see, though, Jardier. Oh, that was... Fab Iceman went for a very, very early apex, and I don't think that's the wisest thing to do with Jardier straight on your tail, because Jardier's gone for a faster exit speed. Now Fab Iceman has actually gone straight to the... He went to the outside quite early, interestingly. Obviously, the last part of that straight is a right curve. But again, Jardier doesn't go for the overtaking maneuver there, which is quite wise, but that's really piling the pressure on Iceman at the moment. I would think the advantage is definitely with Jardier at the moment, because he can just keep that pressure on whilst maintaining a decent level of pace. Of course, it's not absolutely full, because otherwise he wouldn't be stuck on the tail of Iceman at the moment. And Popsu just isn't gaining.
Yeah, Popsu's sitting there about a second and a half behind, but this pressure that Jardier is piling on Iceman at the moment, it's going to be really hard for Iceman to cope with it, to be honest, especially on a track like this. If you do just put your foot slightly wrong, Jardier will be right through, because most likely you have touched the wall. But at the moment, Iceman is doing a good job, despite Jardia sitting there for basically a whole lap now, about 0.2 of a second behind, almost pushing Iceman through some of the corners. We did, of course, see him getting very close into this hairpin on the previous laps. Let's see how they navigate the braking now. A little bit later for Iceman, I think, and a very good line for both those guys. Iceman getting a good exit as well. So unless Jardia suddenly develops a humongous slipstream, I think Iceman will be safe for another straight.
Yeah, that gained Iceman a good 2/10 on Jardier then, considering that Jardier was nearly pushing Iceman along last lap. There you see Popsuit as well. That's getting close to 2 seconds. Ooh, and again Jardier bounces off of the apex at turn 1. That put him a little bit offline as well. Similar lap times Popsuit to Jardier, and that, yeah, you can see on the lap times Fab Iceman was 2/10 faster than Jardier, but Jardier has already wheeled that back in, so all that really does is defend against Jardier at the crucial points. It doesn't do anything to keep him behind. Oh, Doc's had a problem. I've just been looking through the list. Doc's now listed down in 12th. Yeah, you can see he's had a 1:27. I was just looking through the lap times. He's had a massive mistake somewhere. That sort of, I mean, that's like a half spin, the amount of time he's lost there. What a shame. He's had such a great start, and essentially he's binned it somewhere along the line. He's now down in 12th. There is Leon. Where's he? That's Popsu. Oh my goodness, he's now in 4th.
Oh yeah. No wait, Popsu's still in 3rd.
Yeah, so therefore Leon must be 4th. Oh, look at that. Jardier was almost in the back, into the back of Fab Iceman again. There's Leon there.
Yeah, fair enough. Leon is indeed 4th, you're right. Yeah, so he's gone ahead of both of the Audis now.
He has indeed. So Leon's on a... Leon's got the knack of overtaking on this track, so don't discount Leon the sick one so far. We saw him really keep the pressure on Jardier a couple of races ago as well, so he's definitely got the pace to do it, albeit that was in the wet, I grant you. That was the A1 ring. The Red Bull ring. God, that shows my age, calling it the A1 ring. So yeah, that was at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, so we'll see if Leon is able to get up with these guys. It does look like Popsuit's closed in a bit. He did indeed. Looking at the lap times, Popsuit gained about 0.3 on Jardier. Of course, Jardier and Fab Iceman are going to be holding each other up. If Fab Iceman makes a mistake, Jardier will either have to make the same mistake essentially, or just lose the time so he doesn't pile into the back of the Ferrari, or he'll just has to throw it on the inside and hope.
Yeah. By the way, I mentioned that we seem to have lost 2 drivers from the race. We're down to 26 now, and Yorkie appears to be one of them.
Oh dear, more misadventures then for our M6 veteran. Yeah, I'm terrible at trying to identify who the second one is. And again, Jardier was gained a 10th that time around, but it's where he can utilise that extra pace. That is always the golden question. Once again, Popsuit falling back. Nearly 2 seconds separates 2nd and 3rd. Oh,
whoa!
Hello!
Almost.
That's not what you expect here. Iceberg is having a battle. That is Rigor that is in the Nissan. Oh my goodness me, that's the Scarazal! Oh, trouble, the Scarazal is... can't really see from that camera where he is. I think he's under where the camera is.
It would appear so. He must be stuck in a runoff somewhere and struggling to get by the track. There he is. With quite a hefty chunk of damage there, both on the side and the front and the back. The whole Ferrari's that almost wrecked it. I wonder if he will go into the pits. I can't imagine he will want to do 38 laps for the car
like that.
He has stayed out. Yeah.
Colonel McCoy's had trouble somewhere. He's a hell of a long way off the back of the field, sadly, so he's had a misadventure of some kind. Look, you can see the pace that Zal is losing. There's Mickersby. He is fending off Poppleton. Don't often get to see Poppleton, unfortunately. There you see Andrex as well in his M6.
Oh, I just need to go back to this because Jardier was under 2/10 there, coming towards the end of the lap, and once again, though, we see Iceman getting a really good exit out of the final corner, but yeah, it's scary to look away from this lead battle when Jardier is pressuring as much as it is.
And again, that enabled Popsu to gain about half a second on these two, but he just seems to lose it throughout the lap. He's losing more than he's gaining throughout the lap. And again, you could see it visually there. Oh, Jardier getting very, very close to Iceman. That's not really going to be helping his cornering efficiency either, being that close to the car ahead. But Jardier is making it work. I mean, how hard he's pushing, we don't honestly know. He could be absolutely pushing like mad to try and keep ahead, keep up with.
There's been a problem back there.
Oh dear.
Yeah, but Alexis is going.
Oh no!
slow. Alexis, yeah, indeed. He's had a problem there.
What a shame. He was right the way up there, well within the top 10. What a shame. What has happened to him? Doesn't look like a great deal of damage on the Ferrari, but he may have had a tap, had a spin. There was just about enough room to have a spin without hitting the wall, but there's 2 days of pack. That's Titian directly ahead of him.
Yeah, back, obviously one of many drivers who gained a position as a result of Alexis dropping down. I think Alexis was in the top 7 at least. I think it was 7th actually, behind the 2 Audis, and obviously Leon being ahead of the 2 Audis. And then we have the top 3, of course, still as they were.
Just double check, is that Leon? It's now difficult to tell which car is which in the dark. Yeah, that is indeed Leon. So of course we don't know what his lap times are, so we don't know how much he's gaining. But that's the top 3, and you can bet he is pushing like mad. He's got to obviously stay sensible, keep you out of the barriers, etc., etc. But I bet you he's pushing like crazy to get well into that top 3 mixture.
Certainly will be, and what a mixture it is.
Yeah,
Dardier putting the pressure on Iceman still. And it's just relentless at the moment, but he still can't get past him. That shows how hard it is to pass there, and how good a job Iceman is doing in the sense of just placing his car right on the correct spot. He's just driving the racing lines to be honest. I don't think he's really too bothered about Jardier, but he's very, very close onto this particular straight. Will Iceman feel the need to go defensive here? Is Jardier gonna have enough on the brakes? He's gonna try to actually go up the inside. It's side by side. Through the right-hander on the outside now. He started on the long left-hander will be an incredible move. He can move inside for the hairpin. Iceman is forced out wide, and he is behind. Jardier takes the lead of the race.
I don't think Iceman expected that. I think he expected Jardier to back out of it. He's already having another go on. Really? Has he got it done? Can he hold on to the lead before they get through turn 1? That is going to be the biggest question. Of course, Jardier on the inside. Oh my goodness me! Brilliant move by Iceman to resume the lead. Look who that's brought right in with him. Popsu now is going to put the pressure on Jardier. I've just had a thought. I wonder if they're running the soft tyres. I bet you Popsu's been deliberately sandbagging a bit to keep his tyres that little bit fresher. Now he's essentially just been... He's had the lead battle essentially shoved into his face, because I don't think he did an 18.3, which is quick, don't get me wrong, but we've been seeing 17s from the lead too. But wow, fab Iceman, that was incredible.
Fantastic racing. First of all, incredible move as well from Jardier. He finally went for it, and it's so nearly pulled off going around the outside of the long ultimate corner. And this was of course where it all started on the previous lap, but this time it's just not close enough. But yeah, Iceman as well, 2 round the outside moves, and still it's the same order because they did 1 each.
Yeah, absolutely. Great driving by Jardier, but I think that was a stunning effort by Fab Iceman. Just kept his cool. He knew he needed to do all of that to get the lead back. He knew he had to do it in that hairpin, all in the exit, and he could have very easily panicked and floored it and lost his car, and he didn't.
Especially when it's against Jardier as well. He probably knows that if he does let Jardier get through and get a slight gap, then the chances are he will never see him again in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, someone that's on the bit of a move is Mark Buensi. He's back up into 9th place now. And there is.
Just past Van Ommen as we were talking about it.
Yeah, Van Ommen, I think, just led him through with a look at that. So the Lamb I nearly did it. The Lambo on the move again, and crikey, Van Ommen's very slow coming through 2 and 3. Has he got a problem of some kind? We don't know. Straight back up to the lead battle though. Where did Leon go? Oh, there he is. I was just thinking, I would have thought he'd have gained a bit more. But Leon is still there, so if it does all come to tears, he's in a great place to capitalise on it. Of course, Popsu is hoping it does come to tears, because then he can just easily take the top 2. Look at that, Jardier. That's less than 2/10 as they were coming through turn 10. A near identical line this time coming through turn 11, which is all Fab Iceman needs to do, just mimic the line that Jardier has been taking, assuming that he continues to take the same line. And that's why Popsu isn't in this battle at the moment. I think he's purposely sandbagging to keep his tyres a little bit fresher and push towards the end.
Could well be, and it could be a smart tactic, to be honest. you know, he knows that Jardier is he's the one attacking at the moment. Just let Jardier do the work, and you know, if something does happen, if an opening does open up, as openings tend to do, then you know, he will have the tires to go for it. But yeah, it's interesting. Certainly, though, it seems like Jardier is the most aggressive looking out of these guys. He really wants to get back into the lead. Obviously, we know, apart from last week, he's not used to being not in the lead of a race in the AOR GT3 league. So I guess he wants, as quickly as possible, get back into the place where he's most comfortable. Indeed,
we saw actually Jardier make just those couple of little mistakes whilst he was chasing Popsu last week. So we will see him. We're not seeing any sign of mistake. That was just a great recovery drive from Iceman. Oh, crikey! Yeah, Jardier trying to get a very, very early exit from 11, but I don't think his rear tyres quite bit in enough to give him the traction he wanted at that particular moment. And Nesterowicz is rather on his own as well, looking at the timing gap. Of course, we don't know what the gap is between Popsu and Leon. Can't even... Oh, has Leon had a trouble? Because I didn't even see him in that shot.
Yes, we will check in just a moment.
Yeah, don't dare look away because you know something's going to happen.
Jardier is more than 3 tenths behind. Yeah, so, okay. let's hope that Iceman doesn't make a mistake in this next corner, and it does seem to be that Leon is completely...
He's coming out of the pits. Yeah, Leon's actually pitted, so disaster then for Leon. He's coming... Oh, yeah, there you go. Ow, that's a very ugly looking... That's Domino he's come out behind. So Domino is down in 20 seconds. So that's Leon pretty much out of it. So everyone's position essentially is now correct.
Yeah, at least in the top 21. Of course, they have Leon out of the points then, because 20 positions score points. So, you know, there's still a time, especially if it did get that damage fixed in the pits, even though it didn't look like it. But it should have done. So there's time to score some points. You're of course sitting 4th in the championship, so every point is important in this league. But yeah, that's going to make this day very hard.
Yeah, 2 Desert Packs actually overtaken Titney. Titney's had a problem somewhere with that 121 lap time. So yeah, he's made a mistake somewhere. Buensi now into 7th place. He'll be enjoying that. And certainly decent lap times as well. 18.8 last time around. The top 3 here in the 18.2, 18.3, 18.7, so that's in amongst their kind of pace. Popsu again falling off the back of this particular battle. He's either choosing not to get in the dirty air of Jardier, or he might genuinely not have the pace, but I'm not convinced about that. I reckon he's playing the tactical game. We will see, as we're not even halfway through the race. And for a track that doesn't have a lot of overtaking, we've had a fair bit to shout about so far.
Yeah, it's been really good so far, actually, and just seeing these cars drive around this track, especially in these conditions, is just quite spectacular, if you ask me. I've actually seen some cars up ahead, so these guys coming already up to lap some guys, which will be very interesting, especially when they're as close as they are now, how those lap cars will play a role. Oh, that would have been a really good run there for Jardier. Coming to the penultimate corner. If only that was a place to overtake. He's going to take a very wide entry into the final corner, try to get it back for a good exit, but still, Iceman is nailing that traction zone. Yeah,
that's Leon that we've just seen. That's how bad from 4th to lapped within about 3 laps. That's how badly it's gone for him. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he chooses to ditch it. Well, there you can see one working headlight. The track's fairly well lit, so that's not too much of a problem, but yeah, that is what happens when you push that a little bit too hard. Again, I bet you, it's exactly as I was saying before, he was pushing to get in amongst this battle and he's just overstepped the mark a little bit too hard. Again, coming back to lap times, 2 Desert Pack in 5th position is actually matching the pace of our lead through. Hey, oh goodness me, Johnny, hey! Oh, what a great effort on the inside of 6. Can Iceman string that out? Hang on to the inside of 8. Can he do it? No, he can't. Jardier's managed to do it. That caught Iceman completely out. He was not expecting Jardier to make that move. He'd gone to the racing line, and suddenly a wild yellow Ferrari appears. Now is going to be the time. If Popsu has been sandbagging, I bet you now is when he starts to really attack. If, of course, I've been right all along, he has actually been slow. Or slower. Slow, that's a very disingenuous phrase. Comparatively so to what he is capable of. Now, this is going to be interesting. If he starts to try and push Fab Iceman, then I've been right and he's been sandbagging all the time. But let's see how Jardier gets through the traffic.
Yeah, Certainly is one lap car coming up very, very shortly. Iceman, well, knowing how good he's been out of the final corner, he certainly must have tried to get a good enough run on Jadier to get it back already down the straight, but it wasn't quite close enough to get a too tight line. But he's still holding on to the back of the yellow Ferrari ahead of him. But yeah, it's really good move, to be honest, from Jadier. You know, pretty straightforward move down the inside, but I think just the way he hadn't really been attacking actively Iceman since that last scrap they had, and all of a sudden he just went for it. He's been
Surprise!
sitting there, waiting, and suddenly he struck, and at the point where it seemed like Iceman wasn't really expecting it.
And now look, Popsu is nailed to the back of 5 Iceman. Now, in the laps gone by, we've seen him fall to, 1.5, 2 seconds behind within a handful of laps. He's just not stayed true to the pace in front of him. Now he's nailed to that red Ferrari. So if Popsu's been keeping some of the tank, whoa, the tail getting very, very lively. I think that's Colonel McCoy in the black Audi that's just gone through. Oh, that was Poppleton. I'm trying to remember who runs the black Audi. There's one of the two that they're now catching up to. But Jadier now got himself half a second's gap. He, of course, has got the ability to stretch away, but Iceman's making it work for it. There is Andrex now in 15th position. He's got a hell of a battle in and around him. That is Mickersby already ahead, with Oblator already ahead of him. And I think that's Iceman in the green Z4. You go through, just seen go through the shop. Nick Mino directly behind. They aren't all that far off, actually, where our leaders are. No,
that's what is the lap times we're seeing? Like 18, 17. So guys at the top. So yeah, it's when these guys are 43 seconds off at the moment, then it's not going to be too long actually until the leaders will catch up. And if they catch up to this train, it will certainly be interesting, because this is a really, really close scrap there in the bottom, sort of towards the bottom end of the points positions.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how our leaders handle this. It's really going to be interesting. Oh, Fab Iceman is keeping that gap. I think it's just opening up a little bit. It does look like Pops is actually backed off from the back of Fab Iceman. There's now a second there, so maybe I've had that wrong all along and perhaps he hasn't got the pace. But we will see, as we still haven't hit halfway in this race. Iceman piling the pressure on Mickersby for 14th place.
Indeed, and I think this is the closest battle on the track at the moment. The guys in the top 10 seem relatively spread out, obviously, apart from what we know in the top 4. Andrex!
Goodness me, you could pretty much smell you could smell Mickersby's air freshener if he was that close. See if he's going to have a decent drive. So again, you can see Andrex going for that wide entrance into turn 11, but he couldn't use as he tried to turn in, the Porsche was still there, so he couldn't use that extra momentum he would have gained off of that last turn. Look at look at that, Jadier and 5 Iceman to the thousands matched each other's lap time.
Wow, that's unbelievable stuff from them. I'm both back in the 17s now that they have gotten away from each other a little bit more. It does seem that Jadier is he's at a comfortable sort of gap to Iceman at the moment, but with them doing exactly the same lap time, it's not like he's exactly pulling away to any extent really. So, this train though is incredible. It's stretching all the way up to 11th place. I think Billo is the lead car in this train, and Andrex, we've seen obviously Andrex do a lot of defending throughout his seasons here in this league, but at the moment he's definitely on the attack, putting all sorts of pressure on Mickersby, reminding of what Jadier was doing in Iceman for most of the race. And will Andrex go for the move where Jadier did go for the move as well, and he does indeed, and he's gotten his car before entering the long left-hander, so that is 14th place for Andrex.
Ferrari Z4, Lamborghini M6, Porsche, Nissan, and I think behind that is the next Z4. That is the diversity of this particular battle. But yeah, well played by Andrex, managed to get that move complete in the way that Jadier was aiming for. Jadier now 1.2 ahead of Iceman's really now, and look at that, Popsu's fallen away. And that's about 1.3 between Popsu and Iceman, so he's either just It's dangerous to let Jardier run off, but it could well be. Maybe he's already had a problem. That was Domino going through the shot there. Maybe he's already had a problem. Maybe he has to back off.
Yeah, it's hard to say really, but yeah, it does seem like Popsu doesn't quite have what it takes to challenge these guys at the moment. So might just be like we kind of on his behalf fared a little bit. That the reason he was keeping up was because of these guys being so close together. And Iceman though 6/10 slower in that particular lap, so he's falling off a little bit as well. Jardier though is not stopping at all.
Nope. And there you see the white Mercedes of Domino a little bit further up the road. It was Dom's last lap. It was 120.6, so he's going to be with him, I'd say, it's half a dozen or so laps for Jardier to close that gap down. We will see. But Jardier is going to want to run. He knows Popsu's right behind Iceman. Iceman's had a trouble, I think, of some kind, as Popsu's right with him now. As we come back to this particular battle, there's Mickersby. He's lost another position. He's lost a position to Nick Meadow. And it looks like Iceberg in the Z4 is having a look. He's going to go on the outside, down the straight for the inside for turn 1. That's a pretty textbook maneuver, and he has got it done. Nicely played by the Z4.
Indeed. And the two Porsches are reunited then.
Yep.
Back there. Mickersby and Tex Wheeler running close together. But yeah, as you said, Iceman, for whatever reason, is suddenly dropped pace massively in the last 2 laps. He's now in the 19s all of a sudden, whereas all of the others in the top 5 are in the 18s still. Can we see any damage on that Ferrari? Has he had a little scrape with the wall somewhere? It looks relatively okay to me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, Popsu now all over him.
I think he just made a mistake. Suddenly, Popsu was right on top of him. So there's no obvious signs of damage. Maybe just hit the wall a little bit too hard, or he had to get out of it to avoid hitting the wall too hard. Either is possible. So he's now got Popsu to defend against, and we've seen some of the gutsy moves that Jardier had to put on Iceman. So Iceman's not going to make it easy for our championship runner-up as well. As a runner-up, I've already assigned the championship as Jardier at this rate. Not quite what I meant by that sentence, but Popsu in second position in the championship. But yeah, it does look like Popsu, I think, is leaving it. If he is sandbagging, I think he's got to get on with it, and he's got to get on with it now, as we have just hit the halfway stage of the race. So we'll keep an eye on what Popsu's lap times are. He's gone for that wide run through turn 11. Didn't really pay off for him, as Fab Iceman loves to take that really narrow line through turn 11, which is a great defensive one. It stops anyone trying to do that cutback, as Popsu couldn't get to the apex when he needed to. And there you go, that's cost him half a second as a result.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, Iceman though back to feeling the pressure. I'm sure he didn't get enough of it when Jardier was sitting there behind him. Now he has to defend second place. Maybe slightly less motivating, I guess, to defend second place after being in the lead for quite a few laps and then losing that. But still a very, very good race for Iceman, whose best result in the league is a third. So he has been on the podium once. That was 2 weeks ago at the Silverstone. But this would be his best result if he can hold off last week's race winner in Popsu.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And Jardier is getting ever closer to that big Mercedes of Dom. Now, Dom, of course, does have to get out of the way. There he is. He'll be under blue flag conditions, and he does dutifully get out of the way. So he was quite lucky at the point that he got caught, because he had enough room to get out of the way. That could have been, I think, the luckiest person in that was Jardier, because he would not have wanted to catch that big old Mercedes in the narrow part of the track.
Yeah, I think Dom was very, very friendly to those guys there. He lost himself a lot of time letting all the top 3 through pretty much at the same time. I think if he was close to someone, he would have been a little bit
bit of a different story.
Yeah, exactly, because even the guys who are getting that, they are still fighting for positions, and if you are actively in a battle with someone, you want to lose as little time as possible. So it'll be more interesting, I think, when Jardier gets up to the massive train.
Well, that was Oblator we just saw. That was parked up by the roundabout, letting our leaders through. I just suddenly saw a Lamborghini. I was like, oh, crikey, where did he come from? But he's actually very, very slow. He's going to have Domino. He has got back up to speed. He could have made a mistake, which forced him to then pull over, but yeah, that's lost Oblator a fair amount of time. Iceman is still under pressure by his fellow Ferrari, this time of Popsu. come up to turn 9 once again. Jardier's not managed to extend too much further. It's just shy of 3 seconds now. Come around that double apex turn 10. Oh, Popsu.
Second lap in a row, notice that Popsu's just wiggling on the brakes there. He's probably just locking the rears a little bit, just trying to flick it into the hairpin. That's yeah, it kind of looks out of control, but I think he knows what he's doing.
Oh, that's someone coming through the pits. Is that Leon again? Oh, Zal. No, Zal that's gone through the pits.
It's a disaster for the Scandinavians here.
Oh dear, yeah.
And the Swede, both with a broken Ferrari and with a chip through the pit lane.
Yeah, we've lost another driver. I can see we are down to 25 now. Okay, that's Oblator again. Oblator is having a terrible run, it seems. The camera's struggling to pick him up there. Yeah, he's not getting the grips of that Lamborghini. We've seen some fairly decent racing from Oblator at times, but today's not one of those days for him, unfortunately. He's, I think that was one of the other leaders coming through. That will be Nastero, which then was just catching up with that particular back. Iceman then, still in second position. Half a second separates him and Popsy. Now 3 seconds between him and Jardier. But it's almost certainly this Jardier is going to cast that really big pack that we were looking at. Although they're a little bit more dispersed now, I think. Well, just mind you saying that, from about 14th down to 20th, they're still in quite a big pack there. So it's going to be really interesting when our leaders catch up with that particular back. There's the lead of it, Nick Mino, getting very deep into turn 3. With Iceberg right behind, and there you see the rest of the pack that I was referring to, which will be, there is Mickesby, who's in the next two Porsches, with Tex Wheeler, and then Ad Alexis, our former front runner, right in that mixture as well. So it's still quite, although they are beginning to space out, there's still quite a big collection of cars here, which comes back to what you were alluding to earlier, Fizzy. They won't want to lose time on the car ahead, so it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the blue flag conditions.
Yeah. Definitely does, and it does mean that Andrex has managed to break away a little bit from these guys, because he was right in the
he was,
up to 13th now, and catching on
Noah.
Noah. He was only a 10th quicker last lap, but is still looking up the field rather than behind him at the moment is Andrex. And Villa as well has shown good pace. He was right ahead of the train before. He's pulled away from it by a few seconds as well. And in the top 10 now we have Steve. But he seems to be quite lonely there in his red Ferrari. Yes,
he's Doc is actually back inside the top 10, I see. Through his own... We've seen he's had pretty decent pace in that Mercedes. There he is. He's got 6.7 seconds back to Steve, so he's not under direct pressure. And he's going to have to chase down Van Orman again. Let's say he struggled to get back onto... We saw him suddenly have really blistering pace earlier on. Whether he's used the best out of those tyres already, if he has, he's got a long way to go on dead tyres. If that's the case, I think the soft tyres will last pretty well. Again, Fab Iceman getting very, very deep. Really struggling to slow that car down into through turn 2. That's going to cost him time on Jario. Of course, Popsy can't use the pace there. Is he going to try and move into turn 6? And this is how Jardier managed to break free of Iceman. And no, he chooses not to this time. Oh, again, Popsy very, very close. I wonder if Popsy's going to try and move around turn 10 as we saw Jardier do.
Yeah, it would be a daring attempt, but I guess he has witnessed Jardier trying it, and very, very well. He did briefly succeed with it, so, maybe he will feel like doing the same. Iceman actually going defensive there, yeah. Popsy breaking him late, but he wasn't really given a chance there to go up the inside. So he will be forced to sit behind here through the penultimate corner into the hairpin as well. And again wiggling a bit on the brakes, going out wide just to... I don't know if he's doing it to avoid hitting Iceman or just to give himself wide entry for a good exit. But Iceman is a master of the traction out of the hairpin there. And he's definitely not lost that despite losing the lead there.
Indeed. Iceman is really deploying his defensive driving skills very, very well. They are coming up to the Nissan of Rigor as Oblator is coming to the pits. It's also him having some difficulties earlier on, so that's not really a surprise. We see Rigor. I believe it's Rigor.
It must be, I think.
Yeah, it must be, yeah.
For the Nissan.
So
he's in 20th, so Rigor is there in the final points position at the moment. But he does appear to be 3 seconds behind the next car, so depending on what kind of pace he feels like he has, he might also not want to really lose too much time, but I think he's going to get out of the way.
He does.
Right.
He does indeed, but he can of course just bleed out of the throttle, so he doesn't lose too much time. Pops it again within 2/10, so nearly pushing that red Ferrari along. And now on board with Popsy. This is what it looks like for him. Oh, that sudden braking there by Iceman forced Popsy to take a slightly evasive line. Now both of them taking an identical line. I thought it looked like Popsy actually bounced off of the wall there on the inside line. And the Steroids is 10 seconds behind this particular battle, so Popsy's got nothing to worry about behind. But again, look at that. 5 Iceman having a great drive out of that turn 11 once again to defend his position. He's had a lot of practice of this leading up to Popsy now trying it.
He certainly has. And he's still doing a good job. Jadier though pulling away is nearly 4 seconds ahead now. These guys obviously it's still going to be hard for Iceman to keep the pace when he's got Popsy sitting there right behind him. And we know, of course, from the first half of the season what Jadier can do when he's in clear air. It does look like Jadier has actually, he has just passed some backmarkers as well, which means that these guys will also be catching up to them.
Yeah, I'm trying to see who it is he's got past. It's that, I think. It can't be Oblisor. It is indeed, and Alexis and Rex. So he's now the next. This is the pack that I was thinking that he might well lose time in, just because of proximity of each pair of cars. Now coming up to the Porsche pair of Tex Wheeler and Mickersby. It all depends on what point. Oh!
Rick now they're running at the back of an Alexis there.
Yeah, I think.
Luckily managed to avoid it.
He got a little bit caught out there, I think it's fair to say. But again, Jadier will know the advantage he's got in the championship. He does not have to do any. He doesn't have to take a risk. He can just take his time. He's got that 4-second lead. He can just wait for the person ahead to get out of the way. Popsy doesn't have that luxury, of course. Well, neither does 5 Iceman, to be fair. So they're going to want to try and gain on Jadier whilst he's working his way through the traffic. And yeah, Jadier lost about 4/10, but he's got enough time. There's another 16 laps to do, so still a fair distance to go. But Jadier has definitely once again got the upper hand. He's got past one of the Porsches. He's now right in the middle of them.
Yeah, just going to skip to him because it's, you know, you never know. It could always be interesting things happen. A few misjudgments maybe with the backmarkers when they're going to let him through. And there goes Mickersby. Will he let him through efficiently enough to not lose his position to his teammate? It does look like he will, just slotting in just in front of Tex Wheeler into the braking zone there. And now Fab Iceman and Popsu as well will be coming up to the back of Rick. Oh, in a very awkward place as well. On the inside is Rick through the penultimate corner. It's not really a good place to get out of the way. He does do it though. On the outside of the hairpin, that's going to lose Rick a lot of time compared to Adam Alexis. Yeah, a bit unlucky there with very good core, to be honest. And Iceman luckily managing to, you know, not get desperate behind Rick and run into the back of him, but rather just sit there. And he probably knew as well that, you know, obviously couldn't get past him anyway, so might as well be trying to be safe. Yeah,
we've lost another. We've lost another from the tail end of the field, but can't immediately identify who.
Yeah, that's the 24 Jarvis then, from the 28 we started with.
It's Nick Meader, or we have lost Nick Meader. Oh no, yeah, Nick Meader's 14th, beg your pardon, ignore that. No, I have no idea who we've just lost. Second and third now come past us at Alexis, I believe they're coming past now.
Might be Oblisor who lost actually.
Oh, good spot, yes. Of course you would spot the missing Lamborghini, wouldn't you?
Obviously. I sense a deep crushing blow in my heart once a Lamborghini leaves the set.
It is indeed Oblisor we have lost, so now our second and third place runners are coming up to the Porsche pair of Mickersby and Tex Wheeler. Jadier again has reopened that gap back up over 3.5 seconds. And they're out the braking zones. But that's
it's weird because Popsu's always taking a wider or a later apex out of the hairpin behind Iceman, but somehow Iceman, despite taking it super tight every time, he always gets a better exit. It doesn't really make sense, but somehow he makes it work.
He's obviously got, I think it's probably a shorter first or second gear, so he's able to get the torque down into the tarmac that little bit quicker, but he's losing out elsewhere in the lap, because Popsu does pull him back in again. Again, look at the lap times. Popsu lost 4 tenths of a second over Fab Iceman that time. So again, the Porsche pair this time in tandem pull out of the way. So although it didn't, Fab Iceman couldn't quite get. Nearly gets nudged by Tex Wheeler there, and who then gets out of the way of Popsu. So this must be really quite a nerve-wracking moment for our leaders. They're coming through backmarkers on a very tight, twisty track, where one mistake either by them or by the person they're lapping, and they are going to be in the wall. So this must be a very nervous time, especially for Popsu, side by side coming through turn 9. Managed to get it done. Oh, the Porsche's nearly swung. Oh dear, that's a rearranged Tex Wheeler. I'm sure he wasn't that shape when we last saw him.
I'm not sure what he would have been able to touch in the meantime. But, yeah, it doesn't look quite. Oh, who is that? Is that?
That was Noah.
Oh yeah, that's Iceberg getting lapped by our leader. Jadier going through, and he's gonna have to go past Nick Meader as well. Of course, he's close with Iceberg, so he will also be another case of wanting to lose as little time as possible here. See how he navigates that one with the presence of the dominant championship contender coming through, and it does nicely get out of the way on the straight. Doesn't lose too much time. Nicely judged there from Nick Meader to stay ahead of Iceberg as well.
Very nicely done. So that is 14th place. That is now plus 1 lap on our leader as they just come through turn 8. There's 2 Desert Pack. We haven't had a look at him. He's having a fair old time, but he is under pressure by Tisney. Tisney wanting that 5th position to rest from his fellow Audi's hands. Oh dear, there's a very battered, I think that's Leon we just saw in the background there. So of course various people are putting laps on others, so it's difficult to tell who's in what position visually.
Yeah, Tudasic back racing towards his best finish of the season. He has had quite an inconsistent season. He has had one really good result in 6th place in round 2. Apart from that though, he's always been 13th or lower. But yeah, on for a top 5 here, if he can stay ahead of Tisney, who is 3rd in the championship, of course, has had a pretty strong season in that Audi. But, Tudasic back having a really good round at the moment. Nesterovic as well in 4th, also on course for a season best result. The reigning pro champion from last season, also with the best finish of 6th so far. So running well here at Long Beach.
Oh, that's one of the Nissans. He better get out of the way pretty quick. There's Rigor. That's not how you take turns 2 and 3. But as the tyres start to wear out, I reckon we might see a few more of that kind of mistake, and it could well be that our leaders might fall a bit foul of that. We will see. We will see. Back up to Fab Iceman. That is Noah, I believe. He is coming onto the back of Noah in 13th place. It was Iceberg, big one, wrong Z4. So Iceberg has closed Nick Meader back in. Oh, that's going to hold Iceman up. Oh, Popsu again having a very nasty run through turn 11. So couldn't really make use of that, as Iceberg is going to bleed out of the throttle to let our top remaining podium runners through. He does. Flash of the lights there. That's the correct use of the flashing of lights. You are alerting the person ahead of you. You're about to put a lap on them. Jardier getting back into the 117s, I see on the lap time board. Nick Meader needs to pick up time to do it. He needs to do it fairly soon, as he runs the risk of angering those that are trying to put a lap on him. It's probably going to be here. Is he going to bleed out the throttle there? Yes, he does. Ooh! Iceman suddenly jumping out of the way there. I think he nearly caught the Ferrari out there. Oh!
Late on the brakes for Iceberg, or early for Nick Meader potentially as well, which could put him under pressure. But it does seem like Iceberg is not going to go for it, pulling to the outside into the 90 right-hander. But Iceberg though is actually on course for his first points of the season. It's surprising to me actually. He's and then look up the inside again, but he has been very close to points. He's finished 21st twice, he's finished 22nd, he's finished 23rd, but never in the top 20 actually to score any points. But now he's looking good for that in 15.
He's trying to represent. Oops, I think it was the Nissan getting a bit of wheel spin there. He's trying to represent the Z4s, but it hasn't gone well for him or Noah so far in this season, unfortunately. again now Popsu back within half a second of Fab Iceman into turn 1. And 10 laps remaining. So the lap time now beginning to, the lap count rather, beginning to tick down. So drivers are getting to a point where they start to think, I can't wait for a mistake to happen. They're now going to have to force a mistake. Not quite what I was aiming for, but it'll do. But again, that's very risky, as we've just seen Iceman just clip the wall a little bit, lose him a tiny bit of pace, but not enough for Popsu to capitalise on it as they come through turns 6 and 7. So, as we start to get towards the tail end of the race, the tyres are worn down, and it's very easy just to kind of take your eyes off the prize for that little bit too long, and a track like this will punish you for it.
Yeah, in these pretty long races, it's you know, it's a big factor to stay concentrated. It's one of the things that can be tricky, obviously, depending on how you feel physically, how you feel mentally. Suddenly you start thinking about something else, maybe, and you know, something that can be. I find that can be good actually when you suddenly run into your own thoughts for a bit, and suddenly I've done 5 laps without really thinking. But it can also be quite dangerous because suddenly you know, you aren't quite as on it if something does happen. But yeah, concentration is very crucial, especially when you're racing in the floodlights for about 45 minutes now. We have the last quarter of the race still remaining. This man still holding on.
He is. I think that was actually Jardier we just saw at the bottom of the shot there. So I think it may have reeled him in a little bit, but Jardier's got enough of a lead to back off the pace a little bit. But no doubt he's going to lose time on occasions to our backmarkers. Popsu look how defensive, how early Iceman went for that defensive line. That was, he did not want to risk another repeat of Jardier's move early on in the race, where he just threw it on the inside of that turn. That move went on for several turns.
Yeah, so, that was still the moment of the race. That was
brilliant
racing, absolutely amazing.
And
Popsu though,
yeah, great.
Hasn't quite found his opportunity yet.
No, it just does not seem to have the pace when he needs it, and that's what's been letting Popsu down. It's all. I mean, I think that's more setup than it is anything else. Just Iceman's got too deep into turn 1, but there's not much of a run down to 2 and 3, so it's not going to cost him too much. Yeah, so it's just Iceman's had the shorter gears when he's needed to put the power down, and it's not something you can adjust mid-race.
That was true.
That would be an interesting one. Adjustable gearbox.
Quickly adjusting the gearbox between every corner. Not sure how much racing and braking and accelerating they'll be able to focus on if that was the case. But yeah, it'd be interesting.
They have enough settings they can adjust already. Oh, who's that going side by side? I wonder.
Oh,
that's Noah. I think that's the other.
Yeah, it is indeed.
That was Andrex. Oh, he's still going. Andrex is, by his own admission, he's not a strong qualifier, but he picks up on other people's mistakes. So he will pick off people that run that little bit too wide, or we've seen by his own driving as well, he's forced a move to happen. So Andrex now up to 12th. He's qualified. I think he was down at 20th or something like that. So he's improved quite dramatically on his qualifying position.
Yes, indeed.
There's our race leader just ahead of them.
So they have already been lapped, yeah. Obviously, Iceman and Popsu will also be coming up to these quite soon.
There they are, at the back of the shop.
Great race, as I said. Seemingly pulling away from Noah a little bit as well after making that move.
Looking at the lap times, Nesterowicz is he's setting lap times again akin to our leaders. Just really haven't seen him because he's not been. Again, I'm not meaning to sound disingenuous or disrespect. Oh, to Desipac, what's happened to you?
He's dropped from that, what would have been his best result of the season. Unfortunately, he's dropped 2 positions. He's down in 7th place.
Oh, just lost another.
Yeah,
must just
be a mistake. Oh, yeah, down to 23 Jarvis now. Who's gone this time?
It is. I'm no hope of finding out. I always get nervous when that red flash happens because, again, remembering last week where just half the field just vanished.
Yeah, it's at least not in the top 15.
No.
We have... So Rick is ahead of Tex Wheeler now, actually, for 17th. So, but they were also still there. Yeah, it must have been something...
Oh no, it is Tex... No, it is Tex Wheeler. We've lost one of our Porsches. Oh, so he is. Beg your pardon. Beg your pardon.
I think it was whoever was just behind those guys have jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, no idea who that is, I'm afraid. So, as we are entering the closing stages of the race, there's the second Z4 getting the flashing of the lights. As we saw Andrex do that great move on the Z4 earlier on. And Iceman and Popsy both make it through fairly successfully through before they get to 6 and 7. You can hear the Ferrari of Jardier pulling off into the distance. But absolutely no answer yet again that anyone else has had on him. Jardier's exerting his dominance once more. He probably feels robbed of the win last week, but to be fair to Popsy was defending very, very well at Road America before Jardier magically vanished into your session. We ended up in 2 different sessions as well.
Yeah, it wasn't quite an ideal situation. Let's hope it doesn't happen now for the last 12 laps. I hadn't thought about it, but now you made me worried.
Well, we're a little bit further in the race than we were last week. We were just over halfway, weren't we, when it happened last time? So
yeah.
Now Andrex getting the flashing lights.
The magic point is 90% distance for full points to be awarded. I think we are not quite there yet, but very shortly we should be there.
Ooh.
And yeah.
Popsy, both of us reacting to Popsy's rather late braking there into turn 3. What would it be? 5 laps. So we are right on the 90% point now. So one more lap and they would have achieved it.
Yeah.
If my maths works.
Let's hope we do get till the end though. So far, so good. And the next lapped car, yeah, Andrex is not running too bad pace to be honest. He's been just ahead of these guys for quite a while and not really been forced to get out of the way just yet.
Oh, there he goes.
He will do it now. Yeah, there we go.
He had a pretty comfortable gap between himself and Noah, so he wasn't in any danger of losing that particular position. He flashed his own lights as well to signify his intent to move over it. Oh, again, look at Popsy getting very squirrely. Now he's gone for that tight line. Oh, no, Andrex. Oh, no, he's come a cropper on that. I was looking at the Ferrari. Suddenly that BMW got very, very wide.
He could put Andrex, yeah, back in the pressure from Noah, potentially. That was an interesting way to exit that corner.
The M6 has managed to stay ahead of the Z4. And yet again, Popsy cannot do anything against that red Ferrari of Iceman. He's going to take a mistake, it looks like, for Popsy to climb another step up the podium, but it's not coming anytime soon, and there's not many laps to go.
Yeah, it would appear that is the case. Iceman, yeah, we've been watching Iceman for most of this race, really.
Yeah.
He's been constantly under pressure. He must be sweating so badly in that Ferrari cockpit.
Yeah.
First 20 or so laps, Jardier right on him, and since then, Popsy right on him as well. Of course, the top 2 drivers in the championship, no less, having to deal with them all race long. He's lost out on one of the battles after putting up a very valiant effort, but he's still hanging on ahead of Popsy. And if Iceman is 5th place in the championship, if he does hold onto this, he will go ahead of Leon actually. That's around 17 points between those two. Leon obviously out of points. He's down into the 3rd and last remaining runner at the moment. So that's going to hurt his championship quite a bit. Iceman looking to move himself up a bit, but Tidgey and Popsy having still solid enough races to keep hold of their positions ahead of him. Oh!
That's Leon.
Well be Leon actually.
Yeah, it was.
Or Zal.
Oh yeah,
Nice,
Zal.
yeah.
Both of the yellow Ferraris having a particularly bad. Okay, the camera can't see him because he's actually under the camera. There you go.
It's a pretty good shot though, even though it's a bit blurry, but you can see both sides of the barrier there.
Yeah, it's a bit disconcerting actually. If you're news rating a Long Beach, you're actually going down the straight, and then you start seeing nameplates coming straight towards you. it's sort of for a brief moment you're like, whoa.
Luckily, there's a wall in between.
There is a wall in between. That's out Alexis getting out of the way. That is, he is in. Where is he? Where Where's Adalexis?
No, that's
No,
Relo.
that's Relo. Beg your pardon. No, Adalexis. We've lost Adalexis.
Yeah, Relo's up to 10th. But
Yeah, we've lost someone from fairly near the front as well.
Oh, the Desert Pack is gone.
No, he hasn't.
no,
He's sixth.
Where? Wait, who has gone?
It was whoever was sixth.
Yeah.
Who was behind? Who was behind Tidney? We've been so focused on this battle that we've completely lost sight of it. Yeah, so we've actually lost someone from within the top 10. And Jardier, bang, with a 17.8.
I think it might be Mark Buensi.
Oh, not again!
Yeah,
It is!
Second disconnection in 3 races.
He must be sick. He must be absolutely sick. Yeah, again, your Lamborghini affinity there answering that one. What a shame, yet again, for Mark Buensi.
Yeah, absolutely. He does deserve better, to be honest.
He's been there on merit as well, to be fair. He hasn't just inherited his positions. He's been there on merit. He had a very slow start to the season, but then it was Silverstone. I think he must have really hurt because he was doing so well and then disconnected once again. As we come into the closing stages of this race, then we have less than 2 laps to go. Jardier leading the way by 6 seconds, 17.8. Jardier's last lap. These two have been locked in battle for about half the race. Fab Iceman and Popsy battling for whoever gets the second place honours. He's going to take a mistake from our championship leader for him to relinquish the lead, I would think, as we enter our final lap. Well, Jardier already has done. These two now across on the line. Everybody up to 10th position. Is a lap down from the ever-charging Jardier. And that's what it looks like from Popsy. That's the rear wing he's been staring at for a good 20 laps at least. He'll be pretty sick of it by now. Through turns 2 and 3. Heading into 4. It is do or die. Oh, and they can see Popsy's getting a little bit twitchy. Trying to find that extra bit of grip. Something to get him through.
Walls as well on certain corners, just using every bit of track, but still can't do anything about Iceman.
Into turn 8. Iceman knows he just has to drive his line, doesn't have to do anything silly to defend from that ever-present, ever-charging blue Ferrari. He felt the need to head towards the inside there, but Popsy just was not gaining at all. Through 9. Through the double apex left, but again, Popsy having a look on the inside is not going to happen. And unless... Oh, that's slow. And that's a bit tactical then. Oh, we just saw Jardier cross the line. He's taken another win. That is 5 out of 6. 5 Iceman hangs on. Our pole sitter hangs on for second position with Popsy coming across the line in third position. Nesterowicz. That's how far back Nesterowicz was. He's just coming through the double apex left of 10. There's Leon, whose race has not improved. Fair play to Leon for sticking out at the end at least. Fourth place then goes to the black Audi of Nesterowicz with GTA Tidney. He is about 10 seconds or so behind that particular battle. There he is, so not a bad effort for the Audis. Whoops, as he nearly throws into the wall in the exit of turn 11. Over the line then. And 2 Desert Pack. Where is he? Camera's looking the wrong way. There he is. Right in that battle. There's one of the Porsches with a very rearranged Porsche there. There is a 2 Desert Pack. Van Olmen crosses the line in 7th. Doc then gets promoted into 8th position with, and there he is. Some impressive pace earlier on from Doc, but after the mistake he couldn't rediscover that particular pace. But he crosses the line on the lead lap at least in 8th position with Steve just behind him in 9th. The last man on the lead lap, and that is everyone. Everyone else has already crossed the line.
Wow. Jardier lapping everyone apart from the top 9. That shows the pace that he and Iceman and Popsy as well, who weren't too far off in the end, you know, despite Jardier sitting in second place for a while. There was 6 seconds between them in the end. So we are now seeing the final results. And Nesterowicz getting his best result of the season. Just does it back, unfortunately, matching his best rather than improving on it. And Jardier, though, just extending his lead.
And once again, the fastest lap on the board, it does go to Jardier, but only just, it has to be said. 0.05 of a second quicker than Iceman. That is all it was. There's one of the Ferraris still going. So, Jardier 1, Fire Iceman 2, Popsu 3, Nesterowicz 4, Tisney 5, 2 Desmond 6, Van Orman 7, Steve 8, Reeler 9, and Amdrax did manage to get into 10th in the end. So, again, a great recovery drive from the M6 is in 10th position. Let us see who wants to talk to us. Leon is actually volunteering himself.
Wow.
That's a brave man. Doc has actually put his name in the box. I'd be quite happy to speak to Doc. I believe that was his best result of the season as well. Let's grab those two in. Let's grab hold of these two. Right. Hello, gentlemen. Let's have a quick word with Leon first. Wow, talk about a race of two halves very much. You were showing incredible pace. You were up to 4th, chasing hard for the top spot. And then we saw you coming out of the pits with a very reshaped Ferrari. What happened?
For some reason, some window shit pop up, and that tabbed me out of the game. And my car just went straight for like 240 in the wall. And then I had to shut that down. I had to reverse and put in first gear like 6 times because it was in a tight corner. Then pit, and then push again. And the absolute worst part is I was catching Jardier after the pit. So I feel like I don't want to live anymore.
Oh, unbelievable! We've got quite a few people offering themselves to speak to us, so we'll try and get through everybody as well. Someone we haven't had a chance to speak to so far this season with a great effort in the Mercedes is Doc. Hello to you, sir. So a great result for you then after switching over to the Mercedes. We saw some great pace from you, and then you made it. I guess you had a mistake of some kind. You fell back to 11th, and then you rather had again. Every time we caught you, you were very much on your own. So how was that race for you, Doc?
Yeah, I had a small mistake coming out of sector 1, but then kind of got back up, was following Steve, and he made the same mistake as me, but put it into the wall, and I crashed into him around lap 12, had 15 damage, and just kept it till the end. Oh,
crikey. So with a damaged Merc, the lap times were still pretty respectable, must be said, especially considering, as they say, the damage you had on board. Right, yeah. Let's have a word. Desert Pack. Again, we don't get much of a chance to speak to you, so great effort from yourself. How was that race for you?
Yeah, thanks, first of all. Yeah, it was a pretty intense race. I think it was my most intense race I've ever had. And the last time I was that focused was when I wrote my exams 2 years ago. And yeah, it was the best race ever. But for those who wonder why I fell from 5th to 7th, I got hit by a backmarker when Tijani was behind me. We were fighting like for half of the race, and it was pretty sad at that moment. But luckily for me, at least, Mark Bowenzi got a disconnect, and I got back to 6th. So after all, it was, I think, a good result.
Excellent stuff. Going to have to go through everybody quite quickly, so as much as I would love to talk to you all a bit longer than we are, obviously trying to get through everybody. Fab Iceman, definitely want to have a chat to you, our pole sitter. Yeah. You must have been ecstatic when you got that pole time.
Absolutely, I couldn't believe my eyes, to be honest, when I saw myself on pole. It was so close. I mean, I think I was the only one who ran softs on the qualifying, and in the end, it worked out quite well. And for the race, it was just absolutely amazing from start till beginning. I had to fight Charlie and then Popsu, and I did my very best to keep him behind me. But Charlie was just too good on the brakes. My braking points were just too late. I don't know. I couldn't handle the car so good as Charlie, and yeah, the overtake he did was just astonishing.
I think me and Fizzy both agree that one of the moves of the race, if not the move of the race, was when Jardier put that move on you on the outside, the inside of turn 9. That carried on through turn 10. Jardier was ahead, and then you just flew off of turn 11 to get the lead back again. That was incredible. So you must have lost like a stone in weight and just sweat.
Yeah, I did indeed. That was so good. I absolutely enjoyed it.
Excellent stuff. And finally, Jardier, once again, we speak to you. Are you ever going to give these guys a chance?
Hello guys, and of course I am giving them the chance. You could see this race, the Fat Iceman had a lot of chances, and the previous race, Popsu won the race. You didn't even talk about that.
Unfortunately, it was a shame that the last week's race ended quite anticlimactic. But so we were trying to kind of figure out whether when you were behind Iceman you were just kind of taking it easy a bit, or were you really having to push hard when you were fighting Iceman at the beginning?
Man, I mean, I was pushing really hard, but I still had some reserve. But the most problem for me, like overtaking Iceman, was that the people in the stream told me that Iceman is running 1 free wing, and I was running 2.5, and I was losing on a straight line speed. So I didn't even had a chance to get behind him right on the braking point, and I was just focusing on making him do a middle mistake or something. So I was just showing off and doing some stuff. So get him under pressure. And at the end, it just worked because he was going in the inside. Then he changed his mind, went on to the outside, and I just used it and went onto the inside. It was beautiful racing with Iceman. He was beautiful defending, really smart, and I'm so happy for this race.
It was great for us and our spectators. Any questions from your side, Mr. Fizzy?
Not really, just sitting here enjoying listening to these happy drivers. It's what I like to hear.
Absolutely. And we are out of time then, so just leaves me to thank our spectators that have been with us throughout. It's always a great pleasure to commentate for yourselves. Thank you to our drivers for putting on. Considering that it's a very hard track to overtake on, it was still a great race from our perspective, so we thank our drivers for that. Thank you, Fizzy, for being in control of the cameras. It's always a great pleasure to be in the box alongside you, sir.
Likewise, Mr. KK. It's always good, and looking forward to next week as usual. Zhuhai, a track we've been at several times in the GT3 leagues, and one that tends to produce some pretty good racing, so should be interesting. 4 races to go.
I'm gonna cut it right there. Thank you guys for watching this stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I have definitely. Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Feel the thunder there, okay?
All right,
and
guys, thanks for the stream.
And we will see you back here next time for more AOR action. Thank you very much, and good night.